Good evening and welcome to Savage Universe. I'm J-M, and tonight we've got a very special hangout planned. Alb and I have been talking about doing this for a while. Alb, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, we're going to do something fun tonight. We're going to do a live setting creation for Savage Worlds, hopefully completely with themes and setting rules and all of the great design that at least Alb brings to the Savage Universe. But we're going to start off with just a moment of somberness here at the beginning. All right, for those of you who don't know, on Saturday, Jody Black, who was just an amazing human being, a wonderful person who many of us at Pinnacle and in the Savage Universe loved, passed. And it's been a rough weekend for a lot of us in the Savage Universe. And so I just wanted to share a quick link with you guys and let you guys know that there's going to be more things that are happening. But for tonight, wanted to share, this is the, if you guys want to follow this link, this will take you to Jody's memoriam page. You can find, there's a video there. There's a little ways you can help. You can watch the tribute video. You can support Clint and the family. There is also, Clint's got a Patreon if you want to support him that way. And then also, if you have pictures of you and Jody that you want to submit, please get them. There's a link at the bottom of the page where you can drag and drop your photos of you and Jody. Christopher Landauer is assembling some stuff for that, and so if you can get it in tonight or tomorrow, it would be just wonderful. So Jody and Landauer were the two people who welcomed me into the Pinnacle family when I did my Horror at Headstone Hill live stream, and every convention I ever was at that Clint and Jody were there. She would share Fireball whiskey with me, and as a way to keep the con crud away. And so tonight I will be enjoying a little whiskey while we hang out, because if there is one thing Jody would want us to do is keep playing Savage Worlds, and so that's what we're going to do tonight. So this one's for you, Jody. Yeah,
don't drink, but I raise my empty glass to you as well.
Right. Well, Alb, we're going to do a setting creation. We figured we'd do a mashup. We were talking about some fun things that we had going on in our brains.
Because if we wanted to create a setting, I think we have to start with random elements, because I could have thought about it and just have already a backbone, a canvas prepared. So I really want to make sure that we have pure, at least random prompts to start. So I would ask chat to just write me a setting and a twist, and we'll see if there's anything interesting. Not a setting, but a genre and a twist.
Yeah. Give us a genre, and we're gonna. There was an old thread on the Pyramid magazine in when GURPS. Steve Jackson had their GURPS Pyramid magazine online. That was basically all you need to do to make a fun and compelling setting is grab two random GURPS source books off your shelf and mash them together.
There's actually a very, very good book by the creator of Microscope. I don't remember his name, but is one of the great. It's in our world, and it's basically you have a list of things that is true, and then one at a time you decide if that's true in your word or if it's different in your word. So you create a setting that way. So it's imagine I hate quoting people without naming them.
Well, here I can pull that up real quick while we wait for some inspirational from the chat, and if not, you're going to get
Ben Robbins. He's one of the
Ben Robbins. That's what it is. Yes.
So
yeah, and let's just be honest. That guy's got a ton of. Yeah, Microscope, Kingdom, the whole fact that the West Marches as a game style coalesced from his home campaign.
Really?
Yeah.
That's lore I didn't know about the guy.
Yeah, pulled together the original blog articles that launched the West Marches style of, well, I won't say launched it, rediscovered it, because that's kind of how the original hobby was being run. John Doom's got one setting idea. The Fates who are trying to control Alexander the Great, and the party is trying to stop their meddling.
Well,
I mean,
what if
you had me at ancient Greece, John?
So
Doom.
we're talking about like ancient myth setting, with the Fates. That's interesting. It feels like a little bit too. I do like the general idea, but it feels like it misses a twist.
What if I mean, you were the one. I'm gonna just keep throwing giant robots at you, Alb, until something sticks. What about
okay, that's
Macedonia, and because our first instance of robots is technically the Iliad, where you find out that Hephaestus has these mechanical servitors. What if Alexander is conquering with giant robots? I'm just saying.
What if okay, let's think about like the Trojan horse being a literal giant robot that attacked Troy, and you have like Hephaestus gifts, which is basically, okay, let me grab what are Hephaestus. So what if the gifts of the gods were all like giant mechs and machines of eldritch origin?
And then we call it Macedonia. I mean, the setting kind of writes itself at that point.
I love it. So Macedonia. Okay, perfect. So we have, is it something, how much of a myth do you want? How much of mythology do you want? Is it pure human, or do you have like satires? How do you still?
Oh, I think there should be. We got.
Oh my God, Titans are kaiju.
Titans are kaiju. We have the right, because so much of Greek myth is not about a Gorgon or a dire lion. It's about the Gorgon. So we could have these things all as the spawn of Chthon, and the Titans, the Chthonian monsters are actually, and you have giants, right? How do you battle Cyclopes? And
the Cyclops were actually craftsmen in the Greek mythology. So you could have like different sources of mechs. So you could have like the gods mechs. You could have the Cyclopses mechs. You could have even humans mech. You could Daedalus. He's a Daedalus. Human inventor. So Icarus, the flying gear, the flying machines.
We have our very first person who's putting money down. Macedonia is being bought by John Doom. All right. Well, I didn't think I was going to pull the sci-fi companion off of my shelf, but here we are. So a Bronze Age-ish, early Iron Age-ish, except for the fact that there are
perfect.
I mean, you're right. Between the Cyclopses, Daedalus,
so
Hephaestus.
Yeah, one of the issue here, the Argo, which is basically the ship of Jason, could be a giant mecha.
And then if we want to pull in things like Thermopylae, I mean, obviously it was 300 mecha holding the pass against the 1,000,000-man army of
or 3 mechas holding the pass.
That's right, 3, yeah.
3 mechas holding the pass.
But it's also interesting because we could even tie into the fact that these suits of armor in some way allow humanity to challenge the gods. So the gods, maybe maybe Prometheus is
Oh,
involved in there as well. Like the secret fire that he gave is actually the power source for all of these.
that's an excellent idea, and you could have basically every. So let's go into like alternate mythology path. So let's say that Prometheus basically created a tool that humans could use to challenge gods. So basically, Olympus has fallen,
Yeah.
and the gods now are walking the earth using their powers with their own followers to try to reclaim their past glory. Are you okay?
No, I was just checking. That's actually now 2 references we've made to Gerard Butler movies.
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah, no, I love this idea of like what Prometheus is imprisoned for is stealing this mecha technology, but it also fits kind of like with, right, Plato said Atlantis had very advanced technology. We're just taking it. Oh man, and we have the Colossus of Rhodes could actually end up just being an old mecha that was part of there.
Or a real mecha, the defender of the city. So you could have that's excellent. Let's see.
You're writing this down too, right, Alb?
No.
Okay.
We are recording anyway.
We are recording. I'm just taking notes because I'm a Luddite.
That's okay. I tend to like brainstorm a lot and then take notes when I have a better idea.
From there.
So I'm just trying to find because I do have a flash of like the old Gorgon of classic advanced D&D, which was literally a metallic bull.
The metallic bull, yeah, it has much more in common with the weird Europa myth.
Yeah, it's not a Gorgon, but
okay, all right. So obviously, heroes in this setting would be these mecha pilots.
Yeah. So what's the conflict? Because you could have like you could have things happen as the humans are trying to destroy Olympus, or you could have like the Olympus has fractured and you have like different gods having different allegiances and trying to make the humans fight one another.
Well, and I like, so we could fill in a couple of different things. We could have like the city states against each other. That could be like one of the central conflicts, right? Mm-hmm. You know, Thebes and Athens, and Sparta, and and all of that. But also maybe I'm getting too far ahead of ourselves, but maybe the plot point campaign that's linked to this amazing new setting mm-hmm. is the arc of, hey, this has been stolen, given to humanity to fight the Titanomachy, right? The war against the Titans. But inevitably, humanity's like, well, now that we've got these guys taken care of, why are we taking orders from you anymore? And then it goes to the war for Olympus.
Yeah, that falls. That looks like Exalted a lot. So I'm not. I think we're like copying a little bit too much Exalted in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also Greek myth.
Yeah, but I think we should like lean a little bit more on actual. I think the ideas of like the different city-states fighting and the gods like making sure the humans fight one another instead of the one being fought might be more interesting. And you have like all these other creatures. Like, Circe could be there as well, trying to like lure men and their mechs. Or we can do a little bit, if we take, like we were talking about BattleTech just before, but there's a concept that's recurring amongst BattleTech, which is the Dark Age, or like a fall of technology. So you could have like these old ancient giant mechas that nobody knows how to only knows how to maintain but not create anymore. And people are still using them, and it's, if you have this mecha, it's a gift from your great great grandfather, and you have to take care of it a lot. So you could have like a little bit more modern, like in heavy parentheses, setting for it's still ancient Greece, but those myths were like a long time ago, and now the only thing that remains from the myths are those giant beasts.
I like that, because it also gives the players a reason to go out beyond the city states. Like, oh, John Doom really wants to upgrade his mech or find something to repair
and
it. Well, we've got to go find another one that has been destroyed. So
you could have like Olympus and Hades and all these places that are basically abandoned and filled with monsters. So if you want to find a new parts for your mech, you need to go literally into Tartarus and try to where it's filled with monsters and try to find something and bring it back.
Well, yeah, I mean that it gives us a reason to go out into
and the city states can still fight one against the other. You could have like mercenaries with these ancient mechs going around the cities, selling their for the highest bidders. You could have like
that could actually be an interesting place to start. Right, that the group, like the initial conceit for the setting is that you are a bunch of mercenaries trying to sell yourselves to the city states so that you can get enough money to keep your mechs in good repair.
Yeah, basically. And you can have like still like little myths, so small creatures like the let me see, like you could have minotaurs or medusas, which are like the descendants of the original myths. Or you can keep them as like ancient evil creatures, or you can have like they are less powerful than their original versions, but they still exist. So they could be either enemies or even player options. It really depends on how weird you want to go.
Right. So that's the question. How weird do you go in a Creator Jam session like this?
Well, how weird do you want to go? Because if we already have like those giant mechs that are like relics of a mythical past, I think you could have bloodlines. So let's say I have in my family a Medusa bloodline. It means that if I concentrate very hard, I can make some part of your body turns to stone. I'm not very good at it. It's temporary because my blood is so diluted. I have like Minotaur blood, I never get lost, but I'm not that powerful, or I might be a little stronger than a human, but not very much. So we keep like these are myths that existed. They're still within us. You might find a true Medusa or a true Minotaur, but you can have like you can be a descendant of the satyr. So you are very magnetic. Everyone loves you at first sight. So instead of everyone is human, but some have weird edges like that represent like ancient lineage of monsters.
I like that. I also love the idea that maybe there's a link between the pilot and the mecha, so that the reason I bring this up is because like I just had this mental image of, hey, you're fighting a Medusa and your mech starts turning to stone because you're also partially turning to stone.
It doesn't have,
or at least temporarily, right? Like
maybe a true Medusa can turn to stone, to stone permanently without divine intervention, or you could be a 1/16th of a god, because you're not a demigod, but your great great grandfather was a demigod, so you still have like some sort of power. And you could have like a mystical connection, like you said, to the mechs, and they don't necessarily work like through machines. You need to have like faith in them, or you need to have you need to make sacrifices to them because they are divine machines. So you have to keep them happy with your service, and that creates a connection.
I like that. And by the way, in case you're wondering, in case you're sitting at home going, why are Alb and J-M talking about this? We've just come out of the Creator Jam, and there will be another Creator Jam coming up in February of next year. Mm-hmm. And after this Creator Jam, we were talking and we were like, well, we really want to show people how easy it is to put a campaign idea together for Savage Worlds. At least the brainstorming side of things. Now, knowing Alb and I and our obsessive personalities, I would not be surprised if at some point this year or for the Creator Jam next year, Macedonia becomes something that we have cobbled together. But the whole point of this is to show you that, like, this game works with all of your crazy ideas. And that's one of the things I love about Savage Worlds, is that I can take literally any idea I have and go, yeah, I can run it in Savage Worlds.
I'm going to say there's one notable exception, that I think Savage World is not the right system.
This is not the right channel to discuss that, Al.
There's one exception. Like, for all the genre, Savage World works except one, which I think is existential horror. Because the characters are too good to really ever feel like helpless.
I would argue. I would argue that with the right setting rules, you can tune Savage Worlds to do that. Yes. And the reason I say that is I'll bring up what is John Doom's going to back me up on this. I'm phoning a friend. The zombie Savage World setting that did the
from the first edition, like the
it's a Dead End. Thank you, John Doom. They have setting rules that make the characters less pulpy, specifically so that in a zombie horror survival game, you feel that terror of, oh crap, this could, one bad roll could just end it. And I think you have to fine tune it. Like I agree that like there's some setting rules you'd have to put in there. But the best part of existential horror is I don't really need to threaten the player's wounds. I can threaten them in so many other ways.
Yes. Well, you can threaten players all sorts of way. This is, yeah. But well, let's go back to Macedonia. Yeah. Okay. We it was like a little tangent. Sorry about that. Mm-hmm. So if we imagine the let's start talking about setting rules and like arcane backgrounds and edges. I think everyone's a human because we want to have like this sort of, this was ancient history, but we still have those relics. But you could have like either bloodline edges or something like that could like some sort of very specific weird edges that you can only take once, that gives you a little bonus because your ancestors were some sort of monster or had like dealings with the monsters.
Yeah, I think we could do it as a background edge, and then say you can pick from this list because you can only take a background edge once, and Godblood is a good one too, Ron.
Well, it's a good one, but I think it's a little bit limiting because like Minotaurs weren't gods. They were
no, but it would be like one of the options. You could have like a God-blooded character as part of that. You're of this weird bloodline, and one of them is the bloodline of Ares, or I like that as a background edge. I do think that we would probably want to start, especially if this is just a kind of a small setting with the focus on the mecha, we're going to want to say, okay, you're going to get, piloting would probably be a core skill for this setting.
Absolutely. Well, it depends, because you could even say that like you take an edge and you don't ever need piloting. You use athletics because you become that giant traders, and you instead of when okay. I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot because I'm using setting rules that I thought for another setting of mine.
Okay.
One of the things I think could work for giant mechas, it's instead of having like stats for the mecha itself, you use the character and you create a mecha scale with some bonuses, and you use your own stats and skills as the mecha with some unique bonuses from the mecha, and you have a different scale.
I was literally just thinking that like a mecha could provide like 2 steps to athletics and a step for your fighting die. But that also makes it very dangerous for the pilots, because if we're saying that they're linked like that,
yes,
wounds from mecha would definitely transfer to the pilots, and I like it.
Yes, was that supposed to be a bad thing?
No.
But you could have you could have like extra wounds because you're a giant mecha, and those first wounds are your like mecha wounds and don't have any like wound penalties associated with it, because it's just like your metal arm getting blown off. But or you could have one thing that's cool about giant robots is usually like critical hits, and having like you could have your arms getting blown off and still fight, or you could have like your weapons. So you could have a setting rules that every like similar to the gritty damage, which means every single wound is a critical hit, but without the wounds. Let's say you give like 6 wounds to those giant mechas, and every single time you get hit, you need to roll on a critical hit location, and something bad's going to happen to your mech. It could be like your arms getting blown off, or your legs is damaged, or something like that. So you could replicate these like giant robot fights, feel, and continue to fight even though you're like badly damaged and stuff. But you could still have like a specific critical hit, which is the pilot is hit, and it's the wounds directly to the pilots.
Yeah, I like that. And I also think we need a setting rule for picking up random things and swinging them at other mechs. Like I grabbed this statue and use it as a disposable weapon. For
one thing I used for Big Apple Sewer Samurai was because like cartoons always use improvised weapons. Usually, most of the time, if you have a guy with a sword, he will not use it. He would prefer to kick and like use this mannequin to fight instead of like cutting, because it's supposed to be PG. So you don't want like real weapons in a fight.
Right.
But one thing I did was to say you don't have penalties for improvised weapon. Everyone has like the improvisational fighter edge for free, because you want people to use it. And to say that like readying an improvised weapon, like picking a statue or something, is not an action. It's a free action, because you want people to actually use it. And then you can have a list of like traits you can use to give a small bonuses to those improvised weapons. So you could have a heavy, which is +2 damage. You could have a punny. What it was for Big Apple Sewer Samurai, one was punny, which give you a +1 bonus if you made a pun related to the weapon you used.
I'm just saying, I've been told by my players that I need to tone down the amount of puns that I bring to a game. They're wrong, but
sometimes you know the rule 0.
The GM is always right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can totally ignore there's a strong. There's no problem that cannot be solved with more puns.
I will have to share my idea for the pungeon with you at some point, Al, which is my pun-only room dungeon. I've been told that if I ever bring it to the table on my Tuesday or Wednesday night game, I will no longer have a Tuesday or Wednesday night game.
One of the best pun I ever seen in the RPG is Wonderlands No More, which is a Savage World setting about like Alice in Wonderland, but post-apocalyptical. There was too many syllables in that. Sorry, and it was the quarrel crossbow, which basically you don't have you need to have quarrels to shoot. So you basically shoot insults, and you don't have to reload as long as you have fresh insults to throw to the enemies.
There is a creature at the center of the pungeon who is a bard archer combo, and it is Pat Minotaur, and she will hit you with her best shot. And I'm
that's excellent. I have no words, no notes.
Okay, so we've got some setting rules. We've got some. What are some other edges that we could be building into something like this?
You still have to like lean on the ancient myth. So stuff like hubris, stuff like let's say the heroic like invulnerability. When you look at like stuff like the Odyssey, like they start 40 people and there's only one guy remaining because the guy has too much plot armor, and it's the same thing for pretty much like all the Greek heroes. So you could say that every single hero needs to have a flaw. It could be a physical flaw, it could be mental flaw, or something that he is 100%, or it could be a hindrance, but like a fatal flaw. Like,
okay, so in honor of Jody, what if the hubris setting rule triggered off a critical failure? Maybe even a critical failure specifically after you spent a Benny. Right? You were so convinced that you were right in this moment. And then fate stepped in and slapped you hard. And we focus, like we make the setting rule hubris trigger off of critical failures.
Yeah, that's that. I think that you could have something like how do we make sure that it's not just like normal critical failure, but like critical failure XL or something like that?
Well, you brought up the point that like most of the time when one of the heroes' hubris kicked in, it wasn't bad for them. It was bad for everyone else around them. So what if when hubris triggers, it is detrimental to someone at random in the party as opposed to the player who rolled the critical failure?
It could be like the whole party as well. It's as long as it's the guy is not necessary, or you can make a choice, hubris, where something like if you roll a critical hit, you can take the hit as normal, or you can succeed, but every single one of your party member takes the hit in your place.
So you're saying that basically if I critically fail, I have the choice of either taking the consequences of the failure or giving into my hubris, but everyone else in the party suffers because of it.
Yes. So basically you can have like this moment of humility where you accept your failure as a hero, or you can power through, fight, succeed, but see the consequences of your action on everyone you hold dear.
i.e. the rest of your party.
Yes.
All right, so I just have to ask on a completely wild note, like wild tangent. What about mecha that are too large for one person to pilot? Do we go Voltron in this setting, or is that too far afield?
It really depends on how fun it is, because I've yet to see a system that makes multiplayer controlled vehicles fun. Star Trek kind of managed to do something that works, but still it's not perfect. So if we can have a good idea on how to make Voltron works as a rule that's fun for everyone and not just rolling for support, because I love playing the support guy that doesn't attack anyone, but it's not the same for everyone. So you have to find a way that makes all the limbs do something useful.
I mean, that's an interesting. Ron Wolf brought up running the robot as a dramatic task could be a very interesting way of doing it.
Yes.
All right. And we've got monsters.
Mm-hmm.
We've got setting rules. We've got edges. We've got, I think, a really cool idea that I can clearly visualize in my head, like right off the bat. Like, I'm seeing giant hoplites. I'm seeing mecha
giant horses, mechas.
Mecha cyclopses who can throw lightning bolts. I'm seeing, the remnants of the Tanomaki, kaiju kind of coming up from the underworld because you pissed off the wrong thing.
Okay, let's I think go full narrative. Let's think about like Power Ranger style more than Voltron style, which is basically you have three different scales. You have the hero scale, which is basically you're outside of your mech and you play as normal. You have mech size, but it's still not that big, more like 5 meters tall. So interestingly large, but not like too big.
Well, it's interesting that you came up with 5 meters because per Bronze Age cultures, that is the size of a giant, or a Nephilim. So like that's a perfect scale for.
And then you can go Voltron and become like gargantuan, and then it becomes dramatic because it's.
So if you're piloting something like the Colossus of Rhodes, that's a dramatic task.
Exactly. And the Titans are that big. So if you want to face a Titan, it's not a normal fight, it's a dramatic task. So you can have like you can have your cake and eat it too, because you can either fight as different robots, and when you have like these giant threats, combine and fight those as a giant robot.
So I'm just going to give John Doom a Benny right off the bat here at the end. Maybe not right off the bat, but here at the tail end for bringing ancient Greece into this, which he knows is my jam. That's my jam. So when you go to play on Friday night, please enjoy a Benny.
Yeah. If you're not the GM, you have the official Savage World Pinnacle authorization to request an additional Benny for that game.
We are 41 minutes into this, so if anyone challenges you, John Doom, you can just pull up this video, go to 41 minutes, and whoever's arguing with you, it's done.
So you can you have two choices for that. You can either say, "Oh, I have an extra GM Benny," or you can tell your players that you were so awesome that you earned the whole table an extra Benny So they have an extra Benny for that session because you had an awesome idea, and you reward your players that way if you want to like be the benevolent GM.
I've played with John Doom, and that is not the type of GM that he is. Just going to toss that one out there. All right, so what else do we need? Like the only thing I think we're Buff Dragon wants it to be a conviction. I mean, I do love ancient Greece. All right, John Doom, I'm going to bump it up to a point of conviction for you on minute 42. Buff Dragon can have your Benny for his next Savage Worlds game. All right, so we have monsters kind of outlined. We have some great setting rules. I like the 3 scales. We have backgrounds. The only thing I think we haven't covered is what kind of arcane backgrounds would characters in this setting have?
There's very few, aside from gods and mythical creatures, there's very few like overt, very powerful, flashy powers that humans use. Usually it's either like visions of the future.
Okay, so divination.
It's usually as well, like I said, sometimes it's like super powers because you're a half god or something like that. And there's stuff like Circe, which is kind of whatever the plots demand. But I think it's very like low magic, or very not a lot of bolts and blasts and stuff like that. It's usually less flashy. You can have stuff like most of the stuff is like superpowers, like always on, not something you actually cast.
I do like the idea of like a
curses.
Monger. Yeah. Okay.
Curses is very good too. Let's see if I can find something real quick about sorcery, magic, because Wikipedia is your friend. Don't listen to what the AI is going to say. He's probably wrong, or like misleading, or just like half truths. So,
James,
magic.
Have a good one. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Not alchemy, but herbalism was very. You could have like herbalists or apothecaries that would work as well. Okay, that one's funny. You once upon a time, people thought maths were magic because they could like predict stuff and see stuff nobody else could see. So you could have arcane background mathematician.
So for my game Jackals, I actually have a philosopher magic user who goes through the different segments of Plato's line as like he's like moving through his ranks, if you will. All right. Well, I mean, obviously, repair would be very important in this setting. I like the fact that like there's a reason not only to get involved with the city states and with these hunts for kaiju, but also to like delve into the underworld or go visit these ruined magical sites from the myths, right? Go delve the labyrinth on, Minos' labyrinth, because right, we've got to go raid, Daedalus's workshop so that we can get upgrades for our mecha.
Or you need to go like to Troy and salvage the Trojan horse for material or stuff like that.
Yeah. So Ron, the plan was that the mecha were originally brought to us by Prometheus, but also some of them were gifted to bloodlines by the gods, right, to their demigod children, which are now being handed down to
Others were created by Cyclops and
Cyclops or Daedalus, right?
Yeah.
The idea is the inciting event is that Prometheus steals the sacred fire, and it's not just regular fire or sacrificial fire, it's the fire that powers the mecha. And that is the inciting incident of this setting. And then you get to have ancient Greek and Macedonian mecha fighting Titan kaiju. And I'm really here for this setting now.
And I really think we should lean in like into actual history, as in like you could have humans only repair. Yes, they can only maintain those mechs. They cannot create new ones, or maybe some like very very intelligent like Daedalus like inventors could maybe create a new part for a mecha, but the trees of Western Europe invade with their walking trees. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. You could have like different types of giant weaponry depending on like the Persian Empire could have the immortals, which are like giant human-like beings that lived over there, or walking trees from the Druids.
Yeah. Well, Alb, if you want to lead into history from this time period, I'm your man, because I've got an entire IKEA bookshelf over there that is dedicated to this period of time.
I know mostly myths about them, so not really. I know like the usual Sparta and Thermopylae or something like that.
Thermopylae, yeah.
Yes. So
yeah,
I know the highlights. I know the myths, but I don't know like the gritty stuff. And I think that could be a very interesting part of the universe, is to use like real events. Like for example, I know like the movie Warriors, that like the gangs of New York and Warriors come out to play was inspired by a real Greek historical event of like a group of mercenaries stuck in the middle of enemy territory and have to walk like 1,000 miles to go back.
Yeah, the Anabasis.
Yes, so like those kind of events should be used as the basis for their.
Oh man, we could hit Herodotus, we could hit Xenophon, we could hit Thucydides. I actually just finished reading Thucydides. That would give us a great like political background for like a war-torn region.
Mm-hmm.
John, let me just say, John Doom, you're right. Like the Knights of the Smith Dinner Tables podcast of Lost Colony is next level good. If you guys have not checked it out, you need to do so. His new audio guy is, I say this as an audio guy, fantastic. Yeah.
What's that? Could you explain that word like I'm five?
Which one?
Kiru Anavanis.
Anabasis is the Anabasis. It's tell me if I'm wrong, Damien, right? You're referring to the Xenophon's Anabasis, the return of Xenophon's men from enemy territory. Ooh, we can do an introduction game, stealing mecha from Hephaestus's forge.
Or just stealing a mecha-sized weapon, or because I kind of want the mechas to be very rare. Like it's not something that you can easily get a new one. So if you lose one, you need to salvage it, repair it with what you can, or
you should probably have a setting rule for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, salvage is important.
Yeah, salvage will be an important part of it. Well,
It's
Al, this was awesome. Like when you suggested it to me, I was like, yeah, I'll like sure. Like
and it started with like the fates are controlling Alexander the Great. It
yeah, and the
started
players
like
are
that.
against them. And we went from there. You know, we pulled in our battle deck discussion from before the stream went live. Shane's comment about Macedonia became Macedonia, and from there on, it was the setting kind of wrote itself. So hopefully, you at home watching this went, "Wow, it is easy to kind of start." Right, you essentially you want to draw an initial circle, right? The circle of hey, here's the playground I want to play in, and just start working your way in. Start coming up with monsters, setting rules, skills, backgrounds, and edges and hindrances, and you'll see that these they're almost like dominoes. Once you start pushing some of them over, your brain's naturally going to go to the next one and to the next one and to the next one.
And if you find one thing I love about doing that is when you hit a roadblock or you find something that doesn't work, that's perfect because now you have an excuse to create something new that will make it work.
Yeah. And don't forget to, when you do stuff like this, go check out the unofficial Savage Worlds Discord channel, because people on that Discord channel eat this up. They want, if you think our chat was helpful and like completely engaged, know that the people on this unofficial Savage World Discord, they want to help people with this as well. They love this stuff.
Oh yeah, we do.
All right, we'll just post this one last time. Again, first of all, thank you all for hanging out with us. This, Al, this is exactly what I know I needed tonight. I appreciate that you wanted to do this after the Creator Jam. We've mentioned it several times. I'm glad that we scheduled this for tonight. I think it was a fun, both exercise and just, it was very cathartic for me. I always find creativity to be cathartic for me. So, thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
I've put the link back up for Jody's memorial page. Please go visit it. It's the links in right down there in the on the chat. There you can see the memorial video. You can see a lot of messages about Jody. And if you have any pictures of you and Jody, fond memories, please, there's a place to share at the bottom. Things are being put together, and we would really appreciate you guys pulling things together just to, support Clint and the family. And, Jody was loved. I mean, my wife and I were talking about it. She met Jody exactly once at Board Game Geek Con, and we went out for barbecue with her and Clint, and she and Jody talked the whole time. It was just, an amazing memory for her. And it's been a rough week for everybody over at the Pinnacle side. And I appreciate you doing this, Al. This was, Jody would want us to, as James said, not cancel any Savage Worlds. So this was a good way to start the month of May on Savage Universe.
Let me just check something.
And we've already sold one copy whenever it comes out to John Doom.
Yeah, well, I need to hire a guy to make the cover. That helps me quite a bit to get in the mood. But I'll see if like I said, my brain is wired to be very, very intense creatively about one thing and one thing only until I get bored. So I'll pretty much put in a pile and see if my brain wants to work on that instead
of out, because I'm here 100%. This is right up my alley. Ancient myths, the ancient Near East and Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Well, any final thoughts, Al, before we sign off for the evening?
Just play, have fun, and make sure to be a positive part in the world so you leave the world in a better place when you're not there anymore.
Amen to that, Alb. Well, on that note, everyone at Pinnacle and everyone in Savage Universe, go out and play some Savage Worlds. And I normally would hope that all of your dice would ace, but I think tonight, I'm hoping that all of you have a really good critical failure. And when you do so, know that Jody's watching out for you. Until next time, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good one.